Hi, I'm Christie Phillips, and welcome to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for Women. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art that was created for a smaller person to overcome a larger person in physical confrontation. So just by its nature, it's perfect for women. Now, it may look like an intimidating sport, but really Jiu-Jitsu is a lot of fun. It's a great way to stay in shape and to develop core strength. And considering that 90% of all attacks and fights end up on the ground, it is a wonderful means of self-defense for women. Now, like any fighting art, Jiu-Jitsu practitioners understand that mastering the basics, it's the way to reach the higher skill levels. You have to drill the basics over and over again until it becomes part of muscle memory. It's just instinct. One mistake you never want to make is to replace technique with physical strength. This may work on an opponent who is smaller than you, but it's useless on somebody who's larger. And this is another reason Jiu-Jitsu is wonderful for women who tend to be very detail-oriented, paying attention to the smallest of details. Okay, today we're going to be going over some techniques from the closed guard. And if you're not a beginner to Jiu-Jitsu, bear with us for a moment for those who are. We're going to go over some of the terminology of what we're talking about. Your 5-finger grip or your basic grip, it's for initial control. Whether you're standing on the ground, basically use 5 fingers. You grab around it for initial control. Later on, we're going to be changing the 5-finger grip to a monkey grip or 4-finger grip. And all you do simply is you move the thumb to the other side and hold it like this. Because of this, it's stronger when you're in a position trying to get them out. The wrist doesn't bend the same as it would here. You have more control. You move it around here when you're locking somebody up. So this is the term we're going to be using. This is the 4-finger grip. This is 5-finger grip, 4-finger or monkey grip. Now, another term we're going to be using a lot is a guard. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Megan is in my guard right now, and she's in my open guard because my legs are not closed around her back. And this is a means of control for the person on the bottom. They have hip control, and I control what I'm going to do with her. This is an open guard. A closed guard is when I close my legs around her back. I can pull her forward, I can push her back. I have control with my closed guard. So a term we're using will be open guard and closed guard. And a lot of times when you have your guard closed, it's harder to do attacks. That's what I say, open the guard. When I open the guard is when you drop your legs. When you're in posture, basic posture means the proper form you're supposed to be in, a defensive posture. So I want to get Megan out of posture by pulling on her head, getting her out. Her correct posture would be to have her arms here with her head back. So she's in posture. So posture just means whatever situation you're in, you want to get in to correct posture. For example, if I'm trying to do a choke on Megan, she's out of posture, she's going to be choked. She gets in posture by creating space here. Now she's staying in posture so she doesn't get choked. And I want her out of posture. Again, if somebody's squishing me from the top, I want to stay in posture by keeping my hands up here, one across the hip, one across the neck. It keeps the weight off of you. And you never want to be flat on your back. That's out of posture. You want to be slightly on your side. If I mention shrimping, it's just a term to get out. I need to create space to get out, so I shrimp this way to get out. So again, this is posture. I have the leg raised in a defensive manner. I have one hand on the hips, one across the chest. This is a defensive posture. Slightly on my side, so if she would lay all her pressure on me, I could still breathe. So that is what your basic posture is. We're going to go through some basic chokes for you. I'm going to use Megan as an example. I'll use a rear naked choke just from sitting. And again, when you're fighting in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or whether you're attacking or whatnot, you want to make sure that you have your details down well enough that they're going to work on anybody. Now, on your basic rear naked choke, what you want to do is stay chest to back. You want to stay here. Now, you don't want your face to be behind it because she can headbutt me to get me away. So obviously, if this is a person being attacked, she can headbutt. Now you stay glued to her. You're not getting headbutt at all. You stay chest to back. There's nothing she can do. So from this point, staying chest to back,
You reached your arm all the way around as far as it can possibly go. If it's a large person, it might only come to here. If it's yourself, it comes to here. And again, never leave your head back. Keep it tight so the person can't headbutt you. Take this arm that's left. You want to drive it down on their shoulder, holding them into control. And what you're going to do is wedge this hand in between your head and your head, in front of it, and push away. So from here, you go around, you push through, you turn the hand over, and then from here, it looks the same, but it's not. It looks like I'm choking her, but I'm not at all. You want to puff your chest forward as you push her head forward. So it looks the same, big difference. So what I'm doing is I have her wrapped around like this, I put it through, and you puff your chest forward to help choke the person out. So it looks the same, it's not. You have to be very detail-oriented on this one. Again, if you're off to the side and you're trying to do a rear naked choke, it's not going to work because you have space. You have to keep on the back, keep the head tight, wrap it all the way around, grab your own shoulder, hand here, and boom. And it doesn't matter the size of the person. I'll have Chris come in and we'll do a rear naked choke on him as well. A lot of guys think that they will try to condition their neck with the muscles and try not to do it, but you can only condition so much. And like I said, you just get behind the person. You want to keep your head next to theirs so they can't headbutt you. If I'm back here, he headbutts me, and boom, you're done. Keep chest to back, wrap all the way around, up here, and he's a tough guy, but you're just a little bit of pressure, and it taps him out. So that's the rear naked choke from there. Now, say we're doing the fighting, and there's a couple of reversals we can do from the rear naked choke. Typically, when you're doing it, you've taken somebody's back, and I have my hooks in. We can show you the basic way to get out of the rear naked choke. Now, one thing when you're choking, you never want to do is cross your feet. If you cross their feet, what Chris can do is take his foot up, put it over the crossed foot. If you can see that, pull down on it, and that's a tap. So again, it's paying attention to the little details. Or say if he were choking me, that's a good example to do it too. So I'm being attacked, I'm being choked from behind, or I'm in competition and I'm doing it. Now, your first line of defense, or getting into posture if you can, is to turtle. So you want to get your chin in, and it buys you a little bit of time. So I can still speak, I can still breathe. We lean back. Now, if my attacker makes the mistake and crosses his feet, then all I do is take my top foot, lay it over his, push down, and raise up with my hips until that's a tap. Tap. Okay, and if that doesn't work and we're still struggling, now you don't ever want to go for the foot while he's choking you. The choke always is first. The instant somebody takes your back, you want to fight to get into position, which is turtling up. You want to bring your shoulders up. That's what turtling up means. You kind of get like a turtle. You want to make your neck completely disappear. You turtle your neck, you drive your chin down, but can't get it. From the turtling up position, he's going to try pummeling in, and this is how the person gets it. He'll either drive under here, and he'll keep driving in. I keep turtling. He's trying to get it. Once he gets in, you need to get your chin in, dig it in. And from here, he's keeping his head next to mine. I can't headbutt him. I can't get away. So what you want to do, you can't stay chest to back. If you stay chest to back, he's going to tap you out. You need to get one of your hooks out. You need to get out of the hook, and you need to wiggle. You need to get your shoulders to the mat. The only way to get out, shoulders to the mat. Now that my shoulders are on the mat, there's no way he can choke me from there. He may replace the mat, he may get out, or I may sweep, turn on him, and get back to the top position. But it's just important to protect yourself from the choke. Protecting one is turtling up, burying your chin. Once that's done, if his feet are crossed, you want to tap him out that way. If your neck is safe, you need to get one of the hooks out
And a hook, what I mean by hook is he's in control of my legs. For those who are not into jiu-jitsu, a hook is where he's hooking my leg like this. And I can get out, and he's completely controlling my legs. So I need to get out of the hook. I can use my other foot to help get out, but either way. And you typically do not want to drop your hands to cross the feet because then they'll go for your neck. But you do need to get the hooks off before you can go to the ground. Now, the key for women practitioners is adaptability. This is the ability to modify the basic techniques to fit the physical size and strength of their opponent. You use the same basic ideas, you just modify them to fit you. You're keeping the big picture the same while just tweaking some of the smaller details. It's almost like a chess game. You have technical options and ability based on whatever your opponent gives you. So we're going to start with some attacks from the guard. If I could have Megan and Christie over here, we're going to go over your basic Kimura, breaking it down into the smallest detail, which will make it work for your larger opponent. So we're going to do the Kimura. So first we'll have Megan on her back with Christie inside her guard. We're going to start with a closed guard. In most cases, fights would end up like this. If the woman was being attacked, obviously this is where she would be on the ground too. So the first thing Megan's going to do is she's going to pummel in. She's going to release Christie's arms off of her stomach, popping them to the ground. Now for wrist control, she's going to take this and using a 5-finger grab for better control, it could slide out without. She's going to grab this, release the guard, sit up, bringing the arm up and over. She's going to grab her own wrist, and at this time she's going to change to a thumbless grip, a 4-finger grip, for better stability and strength, especially against a larger person. This is much harder to break out. At this point she's going to sit back on her back, re-close the guard so the opponent can't roll out. Now keeping the arm close to the chest as possible, she's going to bring the elbow up to the chin while pushing the wrist up until the opponent taps. Verbal tap there. Okay, then a little bit faster speed. Close guard, popping the arms off, sitting up, up over, and submitting the partner, which is perfect. Now again, these are two similar sized people, so that works great. An example for a larger one, if I could have Chris as a demonstration here too, sometimes the larger opponents will try to muscle their way out of it in what's called killing the arm. So what you want to do is you can place your forehead on the floor to make sure they don't kill the arm in a stronger one. So here I can barely even get around it. You can use your hips to help pop up when you're pummeling in for your opponent to get the arms out, to throw them down on the ground and release you. When you grab and sit around, you go over, do the thumbless grip. Now because of his strength, there's no way I'm going to be able to muscle my way out of it. So you want to fall forward with your head on the mat to pull the elbow away from his own body, get him off balance. You pull the elbow up to your chest, at this point keeping your leg up so he doesn't pass your guard, and pushing the arm up until you get the tap. So again, for the larger opponents, modifying, you're down in the guard, you bump up, around, forehead, boom, and tap. Okay? Now, sometimes the opponent will try to muscle out of it, and what they will do is straighten the arm out. So once you've popped them out, boom, and if I go around, change to the thumbless grip, they may, as I'm coming down, if I don't keep the bend in the elbow, which is very important, the stronger people will always try to muscle out. This is a really common way. If you don't have the bend in the elbow, you don't have the Kimura. There's nothing I can do here. So at this point, what you want to do is drop your foot to the ground. You want to pivot to your other hip, coming around the other direction, and now you have a straight arm bar, and then you can tap them out like that. So really easy tap. So again, it's like a chess game. You take whatever your opponent gives to you, and you adapt accordingly to their size and strength. Now, a smaller person, I would be able to bend the arm. Somebody my size or even a smaller guy, I would be able to bend the arm. If I make the mistake here, popping the arm up, I could force it into a bend. Larger person, the adaptation, I wouldn't be able to do it. They're muscling me out. I simply rotate, do the other hip, figure 4 the arms, and tap on the armbar there. So now for the smaller, back to the smaller people, or really anyone, we'll have Christie and Megan demonstrate this one. Is a lot of times they're going to kill the arm on a Kimura, which means if the person can hide their arm, they're going to try to protect their own arm and not get it up into the lock. So again, we're going to have Megan on her back with Christie in her guard. So she pommels in, pops the elbows down, grabs it, she sits up. Now at this point, if this is an experienced practitioner, she knows that the Kimura is coming. So one possibility of what she's going to do as a counter to the Kimura is what's called killing the arm. She is going to take her arm and hide it on her hip here, holding on to her pants, her shorts, or whatever it is. So when Megan goes to pull up on it, she's unable to do it. So at this point, a counter to her counter is Megan will take her foot here, she's going to put it up on Christie's hip, pushing away at her hip while popcorning out on the arm. It comes out. She then replaces her guard and finishes the Kimura like normal. So again, close guard, pop him out. Christie kills the arm here, and Megan pops it out and goes out. And again, the same thing will work. If once she popcorns it out, one of the defenses, Christie might straighten the arm, so they all work together. Like I said, the options you're giving, she can kill the arm, in which case you have the counter. She can straighten her arm, in which case you have the other counter. There's a lot of different options, just depending on, like I said, the size of your opponent and what it is they give to you. Now we're going to go to a basic guillotine choke from the closed guard. Again, it's a very simple technique, and it works on pretty much any type, modifying whatever the person gives you. It's a great asset, knowing how to do this when you are on the ground, which is typically the situation to be on if you're the one being attacked. So if I can have Megan on her back and Christie will be in our guard, we'll demonstrate the basic breakdowns of the guillotine choke. And again, this is one of these techniques. It looks very simple, but if you, being a smaller person, if you don't have every detail down, just the smallest angle or adjustment makes all the difference in the world to tapping out your opponent, choking them out, or them just laughing and getting away. So it's really important to pay attention to the details, being the smaller person. So the start is the same. We have Megan on the bottom. She pops the arms out. She grabs wrist control as if she were to do the Kimura. She opens the guard to sit up. Now she wants to scoot away from the opponent so she can get far enough away to wrap her arm all the way around her neck. She gets it all the way around, brings it up in front. Now this is an important part here. Now Megan wants to reach in above the point of the shoulder, almost like this. It looks very uncomfortable, but if she were to put it below the shoulder, while it looks the same, it's not going to work because the counter to the guillotine would be for Christie to drive her shoulder into the opponent, thereby stopping the choke. So at this point, we have it over the shoulder. Megan falls back, relocking the feet so she can't roll out of it. And then she pulls away with her feet. At the same time, she pulls up for the choke, too quickly, finishing the choke. So the most important detail there to remember is to get beyond the choke. If she weren't to do it, go ahead and do it, demonstrate the wrong way. She pops up, she grabs the neck, she simply grabs her hand, but below the shoulder. She drives down. She can try all day. Christie just drives that shoulder in, and it completely stops the choke. So if you are being choked, it's a good way to avoid that situation. So again, a little bit faster speed. Boom, goes for the choke, falls back, drops down, shakes it. Perfect. And an adaptation we have to the guillotine choke is locking it up. A lot of times, honestly, it's hard to get the neck all the way around the person to do it. So there's an adaptation of almost doing a figure 4 choke on somebody. Chris is good at that one. You want to come in and demonstrate on Megan? It's A lot of different body types, like I was saying. Like, the chess game you have, if the body types are different, why don't you get on your back and demonstrate the hold? Not everything works on everybody. So you just repeat what works for you and your physical type. He goes to do it the same. He reaches around the neck. Now the difference here is he's going to have a different lock on the neck. He pushes, oh, it's already choking her. So what you do here is you push the shoulder back with this hand while grabbing your own arm. Now this case is going to work good against a really muscular person. If you're going up against a man who's a lot harder to control and they're already driving the shoulder into you. If they know the counter and they're automatically doing it, this is perfect because it's a counter to the counter again. You're pushing back on the shoulder and locking up to finish the choke. And this one is so tight he can't even finish it here because she's already choking. So again, we have the normal guillotine choke, but if she counters it with the shoulder, you stop the shoulder and push up on it for the finish. So if you want to show it in full speed but not finish it, just keep it loose, what it looks like. So boom, boom, and then figure 4 right there, which is perfect. You don't even have to drop down. You're using a lot less strength and you're not trying to muscle your way out of it. So that's the guillotine choke from the close guard. Okay, now if you want to sweep your opponent, the hip bump sweep is a pretty simple way to reverse your opponent when you're on the bottom. And this one is when you're going in between each of your techniques and you're not sure which one will work, you try one, you move to the other. Like I said, if they give you the reversal to what you're doing, you don't fight it, you don't muscle, you use technique, and you move right on to something else. So an example of that is I'm going to have Megan in my close guard to show the hip bump sweep. And these go as a series. When you're fighting on your back, you never want to force something. If your opponent knows that you're fighting for the arm, then go for something else. Just leave it alone. It's not worth muscling. You want to get the technique and do it right. And again, it's like a chess game. If I want her to think I'm going for her arm, I'll go for something else and use a sweep, for example, which in a tournament would be 2 points for a tournament, or if you're fighting, it's your means of escape and you can run away. So the hip bump sweep starts off just like we've been starting before. We have the opponent on top. I pummel in. You open up the arms to get them off you. You grab the wrist for wrist control. You open up the guard, put them on the ground, get up on your elbow, scoot all the way up as if you were going to do a Kimura or a guillotine, but instead you grab the tricep, you get up on your arm, and then you use this leg to sweep under them and put your hip up in their lap and flipping them over, like so. And then, like I said, if you're in an attack situation, you get up and run away, and if you're at a tournament, you've just collected 2 points for a sweep. So again, the hip bump sweep, a little bit faster paced, is like that. Now the way that the 3 series go together nicely is if you're fighting somebody, you don't know what you want to do, say I'm going to go for this, and I go for the neck, she moves her neck away, so I grab the arm, I go for the arm, she pulls back and sits back knowing I'm going to go for the arm. I use what she gives me, like I said in a chess game, use her own momentum to push her back. So you always can confuse your partner this way. You set up for one, you go back down, you do this, she gets out of it, she does it, you sweep. So it's a series of movements that really just flow depending on what your partner gives you. Like water, you flow around all the obstacles and go with whatever they give you. Now we're going to go over the triangle choke from the closed guard. This is one of Jiu-Jitsu's basics. It's a wonderful choke and really difficult to get out of. For this, I will have Megan in my closed guard. And we're going to walk through the simple techniques, getting all the details down. Like I said before, it's very easy for somebody who's larger to muscle their way out of it. And this one looks easy, but there's a lot of details you really need to pay attention to, and angles. Without the angles, it's one of the keys to getting it to work. So just for demonstration purposes, we'll start like this. The instance Typically, this would be when this person was trying to break the guard. So her hand would be in the back, trying to split apart the feet, and in which case you would have the ability to move the hand back. So for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to put the hand back. So one arm goes between the legs, and the instant it does it, this leg shoots up against the neck. Now you want to keep no space here at all, otherwise she's going to be able to get the arm back through here. Your technique is over. So this knee is squeezed to her body, so she can't get this arm out. This one is against the neck, so there's no space, and I'm pinching my knees together. Now at the same instant, you want to cross the arm across her throat, which is what's going to take the choke into her neck. And let's scoot the angle a little bit. So see how it crosses in front of her throat versus being on the side. Any space means the person can breathe. So you cross it across here. Now you take this leg and you bring it across her neck. And if you're having a hard time struggling with your opponent until you can really lock down, you grab onto your own shin and then you lock up your legs in a figure 4 at this angle. Now, once you have it here, a lot of people try to finish the triangle choke. And on a lot of people, it will work, but you get a big person who can defend the choke and it's not going to work. So at this point, you want to grab either their leg on this side and turn at an angle. Now the angle really tightens up the choke. And at this point, if I had any pressure on it all, it would already finish the choke. So from the angle, I lock down and I drive my hips forward for the tap. Sorry about that. And some other details on the larger people is while you're driving your hips forward, you pull the head down to help them choke. And you want to make sure that you keep the knees squeezed together while this foot goes down. So we'll do it a little bit faster. And again. So that's the triangle choke from the guard. Now a way to modify that one for the larger, well, again, taking them to a segment, whether the person tries to defend or not, you can move from there straight into an armbar from the triangle choke, which for example, if I have a larger person, I'll have Chris in here and I'll demonstrate on him. A lot of times now I could get a triangle choke on somebody my size, like one of the girls, but on Chris I wouldn't be able to do it a lot of times unless I'm very specific on the choke. So I shoot his arm through, shoot it all the way up, and he's a lot taller. I want to keep my foot on the hip, keeping everything tight, and the angle is very important on him. Now, in this case, your defense to the triangle choke, often, he's in posture right now. He's putting pressure on me with his elbow and keeping his head up. And I need his elbow to come across the other side of his body to get the choke down. So what I want to do, I can cross my legs just to get him crossed, but he has all the space here. And he's not, let's turn a little bit. He's not going to choke because there's too much space here. So what I want to do is pop my hips up in the air, cross his arm over. So this is posture for him, and this is his defense. And if he were really defending, he'd put both arms here, he'd lift his head up, and he'd be in complete posture. And I can't finish the choke. So before he gets completely locked up, I want to pop my hips up in the air and pop his elbow over to get it into the right position. I got rid of the space, and I can create the choke. So his posture will be here to stop the triangle choke. I put my hips up in the air, pop his arm over, come back down, tighten up my choke, hold on to the thigh or leg under here, and then hold, and I apply the choke till he taps. Okay, now from there, a simple adaptation, if for whatever reason your angle's off, or if they bury their chin, one of his counters will be to get his chin in there, and I'm not able to complete the choke,
because he's bracing against his own shin if I'm up too high. Simply push the head, slide the arm over on the other side. Now you have a straight arm bar. What you do is you lift your hips up in the air, and you make sure for the angle that the thumb is pointing up. If he manages to twist his arm, it's not going to work, or angles. So thumb up in the ceiling, hold down here, raising your hips up till a tap. So you have a straight arm bar there. Okay, so we'll go through that sequence. In posture here, boom. He's in posture, can't get it, larger person, twist, still can't, boom, arm bar. And sometimes the person will fall over because you're holding their leg here, which is fine. Sometimes they'll push over, which is all the better. If you're doing your arm bar from here, it's absolutely fine. You want to make sure that you don't cross your ankles, which tends to be very common. You need to leave your feet uncrossed, pinch your knees together, scoot as close to the body as you can, and then drive back for the arm bar. If it's a huge opponent and you're really fighting, what you can do is put their arm under your own armpit. If you're a very small person on top, you don't feel that you have the strength to get back, it locks it up, you use your own body weight, and boom, you lay back on their arm, and there's no way they can get out of that. So we'll go through that sequence again. So that's a triangle choke moving into a straight arm bar with its variations. Another option when you are in the triangle choke, if for whatever reason you want to alter, you bounce from one to the other, like I said, you don't want to force it, you can simply transition to a wrist lock, which doesn't have to be in the middle of a triangle. You can actually get that anywhere from the bottom. And like I said, women most likely would be on the bottom being attacked, so it's a great way to submit an opponent and get an escape. So in the case of doing the triangle choke, once you're here, now if the opponent, how he gets into posture, which is his counter to the attack, which he's doing perfectly by not allowing me to cross it over, and if I can't manage to pop up the arm and cross the body because they're too strong, then you simply bend the wrist, you come back down, and you do a wrist lock right on their own body. So again, if he leaves his arm bent, I can't get it up, I don't want to force it, I don't want to muscle it, come back down. You can do it against the mat, against the ground, anything to give the arm stability, and then push right back down on the wrist. The wrist doesn't have a lot of muscle, and it's typically not an expected move, so this one's really hard to muscle out of if you're just pushing straight back on the wrist. So again, we're going for a straight arm bar, or even from the normal guard before you get into that position. If you feel you go back to get the arm through for the triangle choke, he realizes it's coming and counters by leaving the arm up, bringing it through again. Well, you can just counter his counter by coming through and doing arm lock from whichever position you want. As long as there's something for the arm to base it on, you can come through for the arm lock from this position. So again, like a chess game, whatever the person gives you. Or a straight arm bar. Now we're going to do an omoplata from the closed guard. This is one of Megan's favorites, so I'll have her come out here and demonstrate this one. A lot of variations in this one, and I'll have Christie in her closed guard. You can come in front here. Why don't we angle this way a little bit? So from the closed guard here, we start like any other one. She's going to clear the arms out of the way. Now, the first thing that a lot of people forget in an omoplata is you have to clear the first leg.
If you don't clear it, it won't work and you won't escape to get out of it. So she pushes the shoulder back and brings the knee through just a little bit. From this point, it's a setup. She knows she's going to have it. So step number 1, knee comes through on the other side to set up the omoplata. The second detail is you need to make sure you take the other hand on this side and you place it, you call it putting it in your pocket. You want to put it in Megan's pocket and keep it tight to her body here. So once this leg is clear, this hand is trapped, Megan's going to slide her leg up and over, throwing her down as much as possible, then sitting out. Now right here, she can either figure 4 or scoot her legs back. She wants to take her feet and point them this way. Perfect. Driving down. She hooks over Christie's body. Another important point is if she doesn't have her hand over the body, Christie's defense to the omoplata would simply be to somersault out of it. So it's very important she keep her here to keep body control. From here, she can hook onto her side or under her arm. Driving her hips into the shoulder, she pushes her weight forward until it taps her out. Tap, tap, that was a tap. So again. So clear the arms, escape the knee, shoot that leg up and over, around, bring the feet pointing opposite direction, holding her body down, and up and over. Perfect. Okay, and then a little bit faster. Good. Okay. Now for a larger person, a lot of times the person has really a solid base. It's hard to get them down flat so that you'll be able to do the shoulder lock on them. You need to tweak the details a little bit more. So if I could have Chris in my guard. So from here, same thing. Clear the knee, shoot this one up and around, sit up on the elbow, point the legs in the other direction. Now from here, he's a lot bigger, he's a lot stronger, he's gonna try to muscle out of it. I still have his hand in my pocket, my legs are trying to go in the right direction, I'm keeping him from somersaulting over. I wanna take little baby steps, just away. Just walk away, it's really uncomfortable until it flattens the partner out. Pull them until they finally go down. So in a larger person, it's a little bit more of a struggle, but you keep the hand locked up, then you can underhook here, and then you just lean over until they tap. But a lot of times people will have a solid base and you can't get them on their stomach. So again, you just inch out. So clear, pocket. Pull them down, lock under so they can't somersault out, up until the tap. Okay, and that was the omoplata from the closed guard. Now, sometimes the omoplata, like I said, your opponent's going to know it's coming, it's not going to work, they're going to try to muscle out of it. Instead of fighting it, instead of trying to muscle it, you move right on. So a variation we're going to show you now is an omoplata to a triangle choke. So if I could have Megan and Christie out here to demonstrate this one. So we start off like the normal omoplata. She clears a leg, puts the hand in the pocket, swings around to do the normal omoplata. Now this one, the person on the top is going to know that the omoplata is coming, and her counter to this omoplata will be to drive into her partner and begin to stack her. And she will attach her hands under here to try to keep her arms safe by killing the arm. She's grabbed both arms, she's driving forward into her partner so she can't finish it. Now, instead of fighting it, the person on the bottom is going to realize that her person knows what's coming. She will immediately release the omoplata. She will use her leg on this side to face the partner, and go right into a triangle choke. Moving the arm up, she's going to cross the body, cross the leg, slide into the angle, and choke. There you go. Let's get back a couple feet. Okay, so then again, clear the arm, go over. Christie attaches the arms, stacks her, she comes back, changes it, moves the arm over, goes to a triangle choke. And again, these all flow from one to the other. In this series, you can try the omoplata. Megan could have gone, if the triangle choke didn't work, she could have moved straight into the straight arm lock. She could have moved into the wrist lock. So you don't fight your opponent, you get each detail down. And if she feels that she's fighting something, again, you just go around the problem and you go straight onto something else. Okay, another attack from the bottom is a double ankle grab to a sweep. It's a good way to get out if you're on the bottom and you either want to sweep the person or you get up and run. So I'll have Chris over in my closed guard. Now, a lot of times the opponents don't stay in a closed guard. I'll have a closed guard, I'll have an open guard. Oftentimes this person, to break the guard, will stand up and try to attack from there, from a standing guard. So if Chris stands up, I'm going to let him stand up, and from that point, I'm going to scoot close as I can to him, take both of my hands, get them around both of his feet. Now you don't want it high up on the leg because he still is going to have balance. I want it right at the heel to trip him. I bring my legs in a little bit and I simply hold him here. It doesn't take much strength at all. You push the person back and follow them up. And from here you have a variety of attacks you can do. You can move in on almost anything, or in the case of an attack, you can simply get up and run away. So again, say we're fighting here, we're struggling, we don't know what we're doing. He gets up, boom, and attack, whatever it is you do from the top. So sweep from the double ankle lock. And Chris is a lot bigger than I am, and it took absolutely no muscle at all to do it. You get the technique right, you don't force it. You simply move on if they do something else. If his counter to the double sweep lock, double foot lock or sweep is to put his weight over mine, then it won't work in any case. And we're fighting, he stands up. Now I can't do anything. He's going to bring me down. He puts his weight over my body. So there's always a counter to a counter, in which case you just move on to something else. So from here, you would just go back to one of the other things that we've been going to without muscling the footlock. You get your hand stuck around his leg, he brings his weight up, you give it up. You don't keep fighting for something that's not there. So it's there, you get it quick, he pops up, I sweep him, and it's as simple as that. Once they are on the ground, you can go to some attacks from the top. One of the basic ones that works great. Now this is called a side mount because I'm in side mount control. I was in the closed guard earlier. Once this is open guard, this is closed guard. My goal from here is to get out of his guard because he's controlling me. So whatever means I use, I want to get into posture, which is to stay low. I can break his guard open. I can find a way to pass his guard. Once I'm past his guard, I'm in what's called a side mount. There's several different ways of having a side mount control, but the basics are the same. You want to keep control of the hip, you want to control the shoulder, and you want to keep them somewhat a lot of pressure, whether you're controlling the arm and shoulder. You can sit out and control this way. You can have a different side mount like this, or you can have the simple side mount from right here. Now, if you're in a side mount position where you're holding your opponent down, again, like a chess game, say they're hiding this arm back here and you want to attack the arm. In an Americana, you can simply start messing with their neck, choke, whatever. When they bring their hand up to protect their own neck, you grab their arm. Now, when you grab this, you want to do it for the thumbless grip from right here. You drop the arm down to the mat, you take your elbow and you put it right next to their neck. You keep the hand on their hand. Now from here, on a stronger opponent versus somebody who's weaker, they're going to try to muscle out. You want to make sure you keep the bend in the arm and your elbow next to the neck. If you're having a hard time and they're muscling out, you almost use your own forehead as a third hand. So you use pressure and you push the arm down to hold it down. You slide your hand under their arm and then you grab your own, again, in the thumbless grip. So grab it here, and if they're fighting, you use your own head to help hold it down for the pressure. If they're trying to muscle it. And at this time, now this is where a lot of people make the mistake, and it's very detailed. This looks just like this. Up, up, he's not tapping at all. Now the difference is I need to drive his own elbow to his hip. So from here, I want to drag his knuckles. You don't want the hand off the ground. I want to drag his knuckles along the mat as close to his hip as I can get, and then you hold the knuckles down, then you pull up. He has really tight shoulders, so that's an easy one to do. Now, if I were to drive it down and let his hands stay off the mat or arms turned, people sit there and go, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? It looks very similar, but it's not. The knuckles have to stay on the mat and you bring it straight back. So while it looks the same, it's not, and that's a tap right there. Now, if they straighten their arm out and bring it down and try to hide the arm down here, you simply trap it here, and the same thing, you do the thumbless grip, and you do a kimura, the kimura that we did earlier, bending their arm here. You grab the same, you shift your weight a little bit, and then you pull them up like this. So again, you don't force it. And if you have this grip and you're unable to hold it, they straighten their arm, boom, straighten it, move back, and you tap him here. If you can't quite get that, and again, he bends it up and brings it to his head, push it towards the mat, get under there, bring it back, and again, you have the tap. Okay? So another easy way to set up to get their arm, if they're hiding their arm and you can't get it, one of the moves in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is called a knee on stomach. This is where you have one knee driving in here, and this one has to be off the ground. So whether you're holding them or not, when you're driving into them, their counter or defense to the knee on stomach is going to be to push it off. When they go to push it off, you drive it down to the ground, boom, and you have your kimura. So everything is a setup to something else. If it doesn't work, you just go on and you move along to something else. From the knee on stomach, you can slide on. This is what's called a full mount. Now this is the most valuable point-wise in Jiu-Jitsu that you have. It's 4 points to have the full mount or taking the back. And taking the back, again, is when you have the person on the back and you get the hooks in. So now we've already gone over the triangle. You can also do the triangle choke from the top. So say the person, you have them here, nothing's working, you're not knowing what to do. What you want to do to pay attention to the triangle choke or they're going to escape is you need to make sure that their head is raised. You want to have head control. It's a lot harder for somebody to move when their head is being held. So when the head is up, you can almost raise a leg and it'll trick them because that's one of their escapes. When they go to put the pommel through to escape, the thing that's stopping them from escaping is the fact that you have head control. So he goes to escape, he can't because I have head control. As soon as his arm shoots through there, you want to shoot your leg up and over. Put the arm in front, just like on the bottom, and figure 4 close. This is the triangle choke from the top. Now you can loosen that up a little bit so I can demonstrate. You can do the same thing and pulling the head forward, pushing the arm down that's crossing, or you can simply roll and finish it from the bottom. If I roll over, then I finish the angle, pull the arm over, and again, I finish the choke from here. I can move to the arm bar, or if I'm here, I can do the wrist lock, or push them over and finish from this one. So everything ties into one another. If you have somebody muscling you, if you have an opponent that's fighting you, you don't fight with them. You simply take what they give you, they adapt it according to their size, according to their strength. You use it against them. Well, thanks for joining us today in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for women. Whatever your level is, enjoy it and have fun. Remember that one of the basics of Jiu-Jitsu is to practice it for a sport, but be able to apply it in real life. Whether you're doing it for competition, for fun, for basic self-defense. Enjoy it and be safe. The number 1 rule in Jiu-Jitsu where we train is to take care of yourself, and the number 2 rule is to take care of your partner. And when I say take care of yourself, you can't train if you're injured. If somebody's going too rough with you, simply tap out. Simply say, I'm not ready to do it. If you have a partner that won't tap, just give it up. It's really not worth injuring your partner or injuring yourself. There's several ways to tap. Don't just assume your person knows when the stopping point is. Some people have tight shoulders. Some people are so flexible, you just never know. We have some examples of your basic tap with Chris. So tap out with a hand tap. Or you can do a verbal tap. Tap, 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 tap. You can do, what's another example, Megan? Maybe a foot tap. You can tap with your foot. So again, anything that you can tap and you can do it together. Tap, 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 tap. Just make sure that you tap out so your partner knows when to stop. Training outside is always important. It's a very physical sport. Health and nutrition are important in every way. You want to make sure you stretch before and after class, eat the proper nutrition as you would in any sport, and just have a lot of fun with it. And I want to thank Chris Lee and Megan Frank and Christie Thompson for helping me out today. They're all my partners in class, and they're wonderful partners. They've been training with us for some from just a few years to several years, to competitors, to professionals, to just doing it for fun. Some of us are mothers and some are students. Jiu-Jitsu is a sport for any age woman. You can do it at whatever level you want and really have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it looks like an intimidating sport, but it is a fabulous way to stay in shape, develop that core strength, have a lot of fun, meet new friends, and great means of self-defense. So thanks again, and we hope you enjoy your training.